too much piecemealing in this whole process, and
Yeah.
so I would be, I would want to see construction documents so that it could be bid out properly,
Right.
and there's no question about how it was done.
Okay.
And
I agree. I think
so any type of
the only problem with that is because of all the activity going on in this area, you're gonna your bids, you know, your pricing may be surprising.
Not on the low side?
Well, you don't know.
Right, you never know, but you find the right contractor with the right schedule and just at the right place, maybe you can get a good deal, but you won't know until you go out to a bid, and it's gonna be a public bid, you know, public advertisement, and then I guess you can look at your bids and make a decision, but you don't have to go ahead, you don't have to go forward if the bid's coming too high.
We know we have a tiger, we're just trying to decide how big the tail is.
Yeah. Right.
But at least in the construction, at least in the documents, it would lay out everything in detail, and that's what we would need.
I mean, typically, you know, engineering fees for that kind of stuff is about 10% of the construction cost, but whether that's the case here or not, I don't know. It's in that range.
Yeah.
I mean, there's going to be a need to set construction control stakes and get things, and you know, we can put that off on the contractor to do and minimize your costs, but just figure out how we're going to do all that. Then have maybe a testing lab that y'all have retained to go out and check and make sure that they're putting it in properly, proper thickness and proper densities and compaction.
Mr. Ramirez, did you talk to Verizon? I know they had questions on the utility easement as far as bringing in service.
Right, and they said that they would not take any actions whatsoever until, you know, we get straightened out, especially the two parts of the property in the front. Trucking and, yeah, and the other one, this one, yeah, those two, especially those two.
They own their own easement, so they have to be purchased back.
So they.
But are we good as far as the rest of the property? They're good with the blanket easement?
With the blank easement, you know.
I mean, is there a need to build the road all the way to this point, or can you stop it back? Do you have to go to the very end? Is that your agreement? Can you stop the road and cut it a little shorter? Because
That was the way the properties are represented for sale. I mean, I see your same point, it would make a whole lot more sense, but.
I mean, it'd be better to have a turnaround built, not just a dead-end road, to have actually a little bit of turnaround.
Yeah, I believe they didn't have a cul-de-sac required for the district.
Right, I mean, normally that's required, and that would be required, but the way this was subdivided, it was now subdivided to a normal process.
Or economical use of road.
For our fire department, they typically require 500 foot.
Had a road going all the way around. And
Yeah, originally.
I can imagine.
And then it got cut out. That's how the people got landlocked in there.
Like one of the mazes that rat runs through.
Yeah. So this really is cheaper than what it was
sure.
originally said.
Now the,
I thought something
on the pond situation,
on all property lines.
being that the cost factor is what it is, you know, doing the main one in the, you know, right in the middle of the green belt, and then the top one on top, because I'm sure TikTok will want that one.
Yeah, textile will probably insist on
And
that.
possibly, depending on the financial situation, the bottom one, you know, we could, you know, sort of pull off.
Well, you know, the key is this whole area drains to this one here, so so if there's any development that's going to occur here, you should have that bond.
That's a good point.
There's one over there, take one over here.
A little over 600,000.
It's
645.
going to cut off for this one, it's not so good.
Exactly.
Because these guys want to start building.
Mr. Hammer, with the way the minerals are hopping around here, that the economic development has retained the minerals supposedly on all the tracks, that's yet to be discovered, but is there a way to do like a designated drilling site or something so these guys just wouldn't, when they bought their land, they would know there wasn't going to be a pump jack in their front yard?
Well, I mean, who has control of their rights right now?
This board.
You would do a
These two guys right here, they've got mineral rights. They're funded. And I think those are the only two out of all the contracts.
But you would have to have an attorney prepare restrictive covenants, it doesn't allow it to be done on the property.
They also have, just so y'all know, no restrictions. No restrictions and mineral rights. And that contract sat in the FEDC office for about 45 days before it got signed and sent to Valley. So,
But as far as how to address that, just have new restrictive covenants that restricts that use or restricts that drilling on that property.
Because that has an impact on some guys that would close, you know, and get a.
Yeah, that impacts the properties to be sold, but the ones you've sold already, you probably can't do that.
No, that's a fact. Because what they're showing there now is a blanket easement. And a blanket mineral.
I'm not up on that kind of, on those issues.
It's not a banker's friend.
But,
and
you know,
that blanket is going to be signed by just one person, or do they need to be signing it to you?
I would think more than one person would have to sign it. But you could go in, I think you could amend some of this stuff. It's gotta be.
Yeah, because it was signed by one person only.
Because we're seeing documents here of supposed restrictions. But when it was platted, don't you have to file your restrictions? I always had to.
Never planted.
Never platted. That's good.
I think that's the key is, have your utilities like Phelps and the telephone company agreed to even extend into that property without having some sort of a recorded easements. I mean, typically, if you don't plat it, what's nice about a plat, although there's other bad things about it, what's nice about a plat, it takes care of all that in one process.
You have a set of rules.
Right. This, the way it was done, if you go back now, again, the attorney would lead this effort, prepare documents that would formally address what these are in some sort of an instrument that describes what they are and who's going to use them and who's going to be responsible to maintain it. And the same holds true for the utility easements that may be within the same area. We would address utility easements within that same document. If they're going to be within the street right away or other easements. But you can't simply, I think by drawing it on a piece of paper like this and recording this with a sale, land does not create the right of way, it doesn't create the easement. So, that's what I know about that, that's all I can tell you about. But attorney would probably better advise you on how to handle that.
So past those few minor things, it's pretty good shape, right?
Have y'all talked to the county about the road stuff? I know we have an interlocal agreement, y'all have an interlocal agreement, but are they willing to take over the roads for y'all so y'all wouldn't have to do this?
I don't think they're willing to do that.
So y'all talked to them already?
We've had conversations and everything, the ones I've had with them. They said they did this because the city agreed that that was gonna be theirs and they can take care of it. So that's the only reason they approved it, because the city was gonna be in charge of all of it.
We have scheduled to try to bring some councilmen to
Because I
or the
know I
commissioners
talked
to the meeting.
to file and he wasn't close to the idea.
We might give a
You
little
can
bit of wiggle
always
room.
adapt,
They want the city, I don't know what, tell the city, take care of it.
need to help.
That's where we're at this time.
Figure this one out.
Well, I tell you what, let those people are willing to budge and give us the land back and utility.
Need to budget some attorney fees in there too.
Any other questions from Mr. Heimer?
We know what we're gonna be spending on drug money for the next 4 years.
I'll send you an
Yeah,
email with
Go ahead.
estimate of cost.
Is there a way to change the name?
We're still on this item, though. I guess, Marlon, did you have any questions
It's got-
as far as?
I do. I have a question regarding what is currently pending contract. I know that there's a lot of changes that are taking place right now. Where would I go to figure out where the status is on certain things and what the next step is to figure out what I need to do for my clients?
Okay, I'm gonna speak for myself. Until we get this straightened out, and we get easements and utilities and things, we don't need to sell anything. Until we try to find out what utility easements are gonna be, what setback.
We're already under contract.
I understand that.
So you're saying you want to back out of the
I'm
contract?
not saying that. But we're not gonna, I wouldn't be in favor of, because right now they're not closing because they have an issue with the mineral rights. They won't take it like it is on mineral rights?
Do they want to?
Do they want to take it, will they close as it is with mineral rights? So they're going back out there.
Well, not necessarily, because they're promised roads and everything too on the contract.
I
And what
understand.
has not come to fruition, so I would think that MVDC is at two calls.
They want to close with the mineral rights as it is or not?
But then they're gonna ask us, are we gonna close the roads as it is? You know, blah, 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 they're gonna turn it around and.
That's right.
And we're gonna get the letter from the lawyer.
Yeah, so,
When did the contract expire?
it's not expired.
When did it
It
expire?
expires on the 28th. This month.
Just to see if we're gonna close or not.
They're
Wait.
waiting, they've got cash ready to close. There's issues regarding the easements, the utility easements, a bunch of different things that come to find out weren't done properly, so.
And that's what we're,
Yeah, I
Well,
know,
that's
I know, but what
Walls
I
dropping
need
on
to,
us
I
and
need to know what I need to relay to them. I don't, we're kind of all in limbo, so I don't really know what's going on.
that's what we're trying to figure out right now. And Mr. Heimer's trying to help us, but, I mean, we know what we're up against, and it's a rat, it's a rat's nest.
In order to buy time, what would I need to do to extend the contract? Until everything's figured out.
Cause it's a double-edged sword, we can hold them, okay, if we're not gonna do the minerals like you want them, y'all walk away, they say, okay, you move with the roads like y'all promised us. You know, so, yeah, we can put our feet in the ground, so can they. Somebody's gonna lose. Eventually gonna be us. Give them an extension to find all
If
this
we did
out.
an extension, maybe they would be willing to work for us to waive the road.
Yeah, get it on the table where you can still keep talking, versus drawing a line in the sand. Because somebody pushes you in the corner and you've got a
We
bunch
don't
of
have money
property.
to put the roads in.
Exactly. So we don't need a lawsuit, I don't think.
Can you show us what parcel that is?
It's three tracks.
The last few.
This one, and.
Far end of the road.
There's one at the
Is it
right
6 acres right there?
in the middle.
It's supposed to, I think it's
Yeah.
supposed to be 6 acres that have been taken
No,
out.
it's
No,
to the
No,
right.
not that.
It's to the right, right there, right there.
Out of this?
No,
one?
no.
No.
Out of this
Right
one?
there, right where your finger is.
Okay.
Yeah.
My understanding that Mr. Pettis
We don't have. a-
surveyed
That's a mess.
this
We
portion
don't
right
put
here.
it way out.
Yes, it's out of the
Right,
contract.
If they don't give,
Right
like what
here.
I'm telling you, if they don't give, we're,
It's 6.
Can you do that in the contract?
So that one piece of land's landlocked behind it.
Can you sell that?
do what?
And that's.
The land
another
behind
thing
it's
that
landlocked
we're
there.
a little confused on. It was supposed to be 6 acres.
That's a retaining pond gonna be there. That's
No.
That's a conservation
The
area.
pond is back
right there.
here. It was up here that it
Yeah.
was retained, but I think it got, if I understand, and I don't have the documentation, I never received it from Mr. Bettis, it got, it ended up being 5 acres because of the way the flow of water and such was going to take place.
Because we couldn't find a survey, and supposedly, my understanding is that there was a survey done, and that this portion right here, the surveyor surveyed either 5 or 6 acres.
It ended up, I think it ended up being 5 acres.
Well, Ram, what happens to the land behind it? Is that gonna be landlocked?
You can't build in the floodplain, you have to, but it's already been dedicated for conservation.
Here,
I don't-
the green belt.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know, I
even
guess
back
we can do
behind
that.
it, if you keep that land, you still have to go, I mean, even if it's a green belt,
Yeah,
you
you're
still
right.
have to have an easement to get to it to
Yeah.
maintain it and everything else.
Good question.
I got 5 acres or so.
It's a problem.
That's a problem right there, yeah.
Can you go, Mr. Martinez, just so we can
Yeah.
stop? If you have it on
He had
that.
to call back. Yeah, I think he-
And you're gonna have that.
We don't have a solution right now.
No,
We can't tell you anything to do. We're gonna have to sit down, put that together. We gotta wait on Heimer, we gotta wait on Tech Dot.
Okay, well, I guess I understand because of all the confusion, because we're in the same boat, basically.
Not just confusing, things have been done wrong that we have to go back and correct.
Right, well,
And we
you
gotta
don't
get the
know-
landowners
well,
to agree.
There is confusion because you don't know what your next step is, where money needs to be allocated, where, I mean, there's a lot of confusion as to what needs to take what I'm asking is, what do I need to do to extend my contract to figure out, that way you can take care of things on your end, and we can continue trying to move forward with purchasing the property.
You can extend it 60 days, you can extend it 90 days. That gives you 90 days to get everything in order so we can proceed.
Hopefully, you know, within 90 days. you
And
might
if
be
that's
Try
trying
to
to-
see what happens at that point.
And if at that time you don't have it, you can do another extension.
I'd say
It just holds the property for them, is what it does.
We can't close it anyway.
We can't close it.
But it's extended, we're sitting there working out.
You can extend it as many times as we need, till they can get, till they decide to
The
get
thing
tired.
is, 60 or 90 days, then you gotta.
Yeah.
At least we'll have the answers back from
Yeah.
Mr. Hammer, kind of what we can or can't do, or what we're gonna do or not gonna do.
And at that point, they can either extend or pull out. Because what all he's doing, if you do an
Because then
extension, it's
we'll have
holding
more,
that land for
we'll have
them.
more information as well to make a decision on our part as well, I would think.
Because it just holds the land, and you're not gonna sell any land anyway, are you?
Good thing.
Right?
These are the only two parcels, you know, that are left.
Ram, do you have a copy of the contract she's referring to?
We'll look at that later then.
Yeah. Hammer, right?
Yes, hammer, exploration, hammer isolation, and Grado, hydro.
The wish it was.
And then we have to have this on another meeting.
But you got the 28th up against it there.
That was in the contract.
We can do it.
No, 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 no.
We need to review it. I think we need to get attorneys to look at it, tell us, give some legal advice.
I think it's, you know, consensus that to extend the contract, you know, it could be up to
I think she needs to know that, she may not understand that part of it either. Right, because, Marlena,
Yes.
you know, I wanted to also tell you too, one of the challenges that we're up against also is this is a public meeting. And so to do any type of extension, we would have to have that set on the agenda and so forth. And so here we are up against the 28th, which is what, 3 days from now?
Yeah, so well, that's another question.
We
I
can't
had,
post
because
it 72 hours.
We've had an extension before because of we didn't really know up front that the minerals were reserved by FEDC until we actually went to close and got the deed and sent it to our lawyer and reviewed. Very funny wording, does not intend to drill, is on the documents that Dominic prepared. So we were able to get Mr. Bettis to do the extension. So does this need to be a group setting? Is that he's not authorized to do an extension?
We have to have a,
Because-
we have to have a public hearing.
Okay, because I know that Mr. Bettis was authorized by the board members to make decisions on the contracts.
Well, I would just say that a lot of things that were done, that we're
That
not
weren't
necessarily happy with, or satisfied with, or that were acceptable in our minds. So in order for us to go to bed at night and sleep well, we need to do it right. I mean, right.
And I'm
when we
not
do that.
saying he just did it all. We had a meeting with the board members and the agreement on the contract. But after that, he had the authority to make the extensions and do what was necessary on the contract. So we're not starting over really, so it's going to put us all in, I mean, it's,
Can she call you, David, and put it on your agenda for the next meeting?
we're on a contract on the 28th.
It's
gonna be
So-
expired already.
Yeah.
72 hour posting, we can't meet before then.
What is the deadline to, what time did we speak the other day when I asked to, it was Friday, early afternoon?
That you called me?
Are you Ms. Teagan?
Yes.
Yes, remember I called you asking to be put on the agenda? Do you remember what day that was? You were gonna check and call
I
me
don't
back?
really remember. I've had a grandbaby since I talked to I haven't had much sleep, so I don't recall. I think it may have been Thursday.
Yeah, see, I requested to be put on the agenda.
Well, you requested, but the agenda had already been pretty much changed. And I said you could go to citizens. Right. You did see that? But, the language to do what you want to do would not have been included. That would have taken more information to put that extension on. And none of us have seen the contracts at all. So you can't vote on something.
Right, you have no knowledge of it, right? No, I understand.
We want to work with you. It's not.
Yeah, I just don't know, I mean, what's gonna happen now that we're getting to the 28th?
I don't know.
We can't
Question, because we can't do anything without the posting. And the reality is that we would want to read this too, to see if that's something that we would approve anyway. So,
And just for your information right now, the last conversation that we had, we met with Dominic, we met with our lawyer. There was supposed to be some verbiage put into the contract, put into the deed that stated there was gonna be an area that was designated for drilling. We were waiting on that to be done, so that's where we.
Did y'all, you have a copy of that amended contract?
well, then also,
Is it like a surface protection clause?
when did that, when did that start, or when did that happen, and has anybody contacted you about
I don't
amending the
know.
contract?
Did the board ever approve that?
Been with Dominic for a century.
Are we actually getting into a topic?
Yeah, we should.
Yeah, we should probably, yeah. Well, I'm just giving you information, so.
Right.
Well, information is one thing, taking action would be one.
Yeah, right.
But do you have you don't have a copy of the contract or amendment? That's okay.
I'll go get it in the file.
You may want to,
We're gonna need to.
if you got an amendment to that
Yeah, the
contract.
only amendment that I have is extending the contract, because we were supposed to get the information from Dominic, review it, and see if we wanted to move forward. So, I've been trying, Dominic's very difficult to get a hold of. Very difficult to get a hold of. So we've been kind of just waiting for that to come in, to review it, to see if we were gonna move forward with it. Not any, because we didn't actually agree to that, because we hadn't seen what was being prepared by the lawyer.
I'm just curious, how long have y'all been working on this?
And she said August of last year?
Yeah, it's been a good while. It got receipted July 30th, 2012. They're cash buyers, we're ready, I mean, and I know that's money that's probably needed for this continued development, so.
Well, once again,
Yeah,
we're gonna have to put
decide.
something on an agenda, and we're willing to work with you, but we're gonna have to just do that. So I guess go back to your client and y'all talk about what you think they're willing to do.
Okay.
And
Is there any way you can give me an update, what's already here? If you can contact Dominic, or find out anything's taken place in the meantime?
My understanding at this point is that Dominic is not gonna work on anything.
Because Vincent called me the other day, said that whatever was already pending was gonna get finished out, was the last I heard.
I saw Dominic Friday, and I asked him on those two contracts, Hammer. He says, no, I'm not gonna work. He's not gonna finish. That's what he told me, you know.
Okay, I guess we just have to wait and see.
Yeah.
Well, we've been working, trying to figure this mess out, and
Yeah, I can imagine.
and just every time we dig, it gets a little deeper, and just like tonight, nothing was done like it should have been. We'll work on it and get something, you know.
Hopefully we can get off center, you know. I know you have clients, we have a job to do, and a lot of these people that have bought land out there, you know, they've been calling and asking questions, you know. The road indicated that it would be completed in 90 days or 120 days. It's been beyond that point. When is it gonna be complete? Bear with us.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it seems like there's a lot going on, so
I would just contact Mr. Ramirez and just,
give an update.
with any future
Yeah.
update, and
And I'll try to bring you up to date with everything.
Okay.
You know, hopefully that we'll be able to, like I say, get things rolling in the right direction, you know. Because we were left, you know, with a lot of things, you know, on the burner and no guidance.
What took you long to do it?
Well, let me ask one more question, because I really don't know the proper procedure, and so I'm just kind of getting some information. If we were to decide to go ahead and close on the properties the way the deed's written and such, is he still able to sign on everything that is currently in place?
well,
We'll have to review it.
They have a viable contract, but then we have to adhere to the contract.
Yeah.
I mean, the group has a contract now. So, and it was
Well, the only
approved by
reason I'm
the board,
asking is because if they,
the previous board.
yeah, if they don't want to end up being in breach of the contract for whatever reason, then they go to actually close, you know, is it something that y'all are still capable of closing on at this point?
Let's get a different attorney to draft the documents. I'm next time to draft them.
So we could get west and west or somebody do a deed, but we're gonna close it based on the way the original contract was, and that's not acceptable to them.
He was sick.
Oh, it's something else.
Well, contract's a contract.
That's
So
it.
if the
That's it,
contract is
that's-
there,
If they wanna
and
close.
if they wanna close,
The way it's
then,
written.
On the original contract,
then there's nothing you can do about it.
we're gonna close it.
And for transparency, I know these people. I'm not partners with them. I have no business with them. I have no affiliation with them other than I live in the same town as they do. But I know they're very capable of closing. And I know they're very capable financially of making us live by the letter of the law, what that contract says. They're, you know, we need to be real amenable in the way we do things, or we're gonna hate the way it comes out. Those are my words, not theirs. But I know them. And it's just, I mean, that, I mentioned nickel, they're gonna go, okay, we'll sign tomorrow just like it is. But then you're gonna do everything Jesse Ferris told me you're gonna do. You know, if it says this curb is gonna be gold plated, we're fixing to start pouring a gold plated curb. So somewhere somebody's gonna have to give.
So we might be willing to give and we're ready to give,
But you can't give
but we
what
can't
you-
take any action to get shown we're gonna
Yeah.
give. That's the problem.
That's, you know, we're a day short.
So we can all show, we can tell them we've got all good intent, that when we meet Monday, we'll put this on the agenda again to extend that contract. But we can't do it.
Yeah, and that's, of course, the smart play is obviously to extend it 90 days to see where we're at. So we see if it's feasible to do anything, to get some real numbers from Mr. Hyman. And I agree with that 100%.
Well, I would, and this is just me speaking out loud, I would think that what was currently in place with the person the person that was in that position to have the authority to do those certain tasks would still be able to do the certain tasks, even if that person has been replaced with another person.
Not just that, the whole board has changed.
Right, no, I understand, I see.
I understand what you're saying, but the task that you're needing us to do is to extend the contract.
Oh, yes, sir.
He doesn't have the authority to extend the contract.
Okay.
The board would need to have that on the agenda to extend it,
The board would have to do it.
to give him authority to extend the contract.
Okay. See, and that's what I'm asking, if.
We might be willing, and I'm saying, we
And
might be
Jesse-
willing
well,
and
I'm
all,
just
but we
trying to
can't do
understand
it.
the dynamics of it, so in Jesse in his position, he was maybe voted to have the authority at that time? Or,
It's very possible that that board gave them authority to extend the contract when they approved it in the minutes the first time, if needed. But now,
okay, but there's no way to
we have a
know
contract in place that's been signed with a certain date the contract extension with this board would require board approval.
Okay.
And that's kind of where we're at.
We can say we wanna do it, but we can't
Yeah,
take
I'm
the
just
action
trying to
on it.
make sure I'm clear as to what,
Mhm.
what's.
And right in the middle of all this, see, is where there were changes that took place.
Oh, there's so many
Oh,
companies.
yeah, I know.
And
That's the nature of the beast we're on, it's terrible.
I wonder if there's some way attorneys can work together with escrows or something to get us into
Emergency
the,
provision.
or something. There's gotta be a way to not get sued.
Well, there are some, I think, some guidelines in open meetings somewhere on emergency
It's an
type
emergency.
situations,
Is
but
it
we have to see
emergency?
if it's defined.
Let me make a call. Y'all mind if I do
Not at all.
a call?
Anything that would
I got a
help.
couple of people I call.
You wanna take a recess?
let's take a break.
Yes.